welcome to Open Worship. It is great to see all of your faces this morning. My name is Crystal. Up here with me I have my friends Clay, Dave, Georgianne, Brandon, and Kelly, and we are your worship team this morning. And we're just really glad that you have gathered with us. I'm going to invite my friend Pastor Cheryl to talk to us about our connection cards and anything else you want to say to welcome us.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to worship here today. I am Cheryl Gallerno, the pastor of children and families, and so glad to get to be in Open today with all of y'all. We do want to know that you're here, so please fill out your connection card that's in your order of service, or you can also do that online as well if you're watching us. And we're just really glad you're here. If it's the end of your spring break, I'm so sorry. If it's the beginning, woohoo for you. Now, go ahead and stand up. Let's greet each other this morning.
Standing as you're comfortable and join us in worship this morning. invited some friends that are going to lead us in our liturgy this morning. And as they're making their way up here, there's one thing that I want to tell you about. Next Sunday at 10 a.m., we're doing a family Lenten workshop. This is for people with kids and youth to get together and do mission projects and learn a little bit about the season of Lent and why it's special. There are tons of other things that are happening. Please check your bulletin insert where they are all listed, because it's all a lot of cool. So our friends are going to lead us in our liturgy this morning. You all will have a line that you'll say together, and that line is, all are welcome here.
We come together to seek God, trusting that God is seeking us with open arms. All are welcome here.
No matter our doubts or questions, where we come from or who we love, even in the chaotic seasons of life, we are loved by God. All are welcome here.
We believe that everyone is a child of God. Every age, race, gender, identity, ability, and creed, all are beautifully and colorfully made and of sacred worth.
All are welcome here. We affirm that God is a good God who lifts the oppressed, loves the vulnerable, and is open to all. So we choose to have open hearts, open minds, open arms, and open doors to God and to each other. All are welcome here.
Thank you, friends. And with that, I invite you to remain standing as you're comfortable, and we'll continue to sing together this morning. God is here. Let's be quiet for a moment and listen. Let other voices fade. Just listen. God is here. Let's draw near for a moment and listen. Let the old fall away and listen. And let the silence interrupt our speaking. Let your presence awaken us from sleeping. Let your spirit find us when we're speaking. We are here with you now. Will you sing that all again with me? God is here. Let's be quiet for a moment and listen. Let other voices fade. Just listen. God is here. Let's draw near for a moment and listen. Let the old fall away. Just listen. And let the silence interrupt our speaking. Let your presence awaken us from sleeping. Let your spirit find us in our seeking. We are here with you. Let the silence interrupt our speaking. Let your presence awaken us from sleeping. Let your spirit find us in our seeking. We are here with you now.
Speak a word to us. We are open. Pour your love on us.
Let's be quiet for a moment and listen.
Y'all may be seated.
Then God said, "Come no closer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground." God said further, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, "I have observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I have heard their cry on account of their taskmasters. Indeed, I know their sufferings, and I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the country of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has now come to me. I have also seen how the Egyptians oppressed them. Now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" God said, "I will be with you, and this shall be the sign for you that it is I who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain." The word of God for the people of God.
Well, good morning, and thank you to Dave for reading my scripture. I am Cheryl Gallerno, the pastor of children and families, and I am really delighted to be in here, especially in Open today. A lot of Sundays I am doing children's time and sanctuary worship, and so I don't get to be in here with y'all as much, and I feel like this is a treat. Scott and Reagan are finishing their spring break week with their kids, and so I got to be here today, and I'm so grateful for this time and for this opportunity. And I really want to confess that in the earlier service, I was a little anxious. It was the practice round, right? And I was sitting there, and I didn't even listen to the end of the song that y'all just sang a minute ago. God is here, be quiet and listen. And this time I was a little less nervous, and I could hear the sweet voices right behind me singing that last line, and it was so perfect leading up to now. And so thank you. I'm delighted to do this with you guys. And so we're rewinding the story. If you were here last week, I would say today is like a prequel to last week's sermon. Last week was farther down with Moses, with the rock and the staff. And if you didn't hear that sermon, I'd suggest you go read it sometime because it's really cool and kind of magical and sciencey. And today's story hits right up there. As a children's pastor, man, I'm lucky to get to preach this Sunday because this has to be one of every children's minister's top 10 stories to teach to children. And so I'm happy to share this with y'all. As it's like just a longer children's sermon is what I'm doing today for you guys. I'm glad to be here. And so I want to back up just a little bit in the scripture reading from where Dave started and give you a little bit behind the scenes before he got to where he started. It starts in Exodus 3, verse 1. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Then Moses said, "I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up." When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, "Moses, Moses." And Moses said, "Here I am." And then he said, "Come no closer. Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place for which you are standing is holy ground." So I needed you to hear that part of the story because it's really important to what we're going to talk about today. But I cannot go any further without saying how much I love our altar pieces. I am so very excited. I was looking forward to this week. I messaged Cake. She does our altar pieces. And I said, "I haven't gotten to talk to you yet, but I'm going to write in my blurb that there might be fire, and I really hope there is." And she really outdid herself. I love it so. I love the sparkle coming through. It's like a little bit of joy mixed in with the dark, and it's just perfect and beautiful. So I'm glad you get to be here and see it too. So we're talking about Moses, and he's been living in Midian now, and I would say hiding almost. He fled from Egypt 40 years prior. He was there, and he witnessed an Egyptian soldier attacking one of the Hebrew slaves. And Moses didn't like it, and he intervened, and he ended up killing the slave. Killing the soldier, excuse me. Slave lived, soldier died. And, big part of the story. And he was so upset and didn't know what to do that he buried him. And he was like, I gotta get out of here. So he fled, and he left. And now we see him 40 years later, and he's living this fairly simple life. He's raised his children by now. I would imagine that he was feeling pretty comfortable and settled in his mundane and familiar life, and he's safely out of Pharaoh's reach, he thinks. And now he's out here in the wilderness. He's working for his father-in-law, Jethro, watching over Jethro's flock of sheep. He's alone out there, right? He knows the land. He's focused on this task at hand. He's keeping the sheep safe. He's guiding them to find food and water and making sure that none leave the group. And then Moses sees it. In the middle of this deserted area, a shrub appears to be on fire. And Moses, he does something very important in this story. He makes the conscious decision to turn aside. That means turn away from the task that he is so devoted to. So he turns aside. He says, I must see what's going on. What is happening over here? You see, I've been thinking about this story, and fire is such a pivotal piece of the story. And y'all, fire, it just has so much power, right? It has this effect on us. For a lot of us, fire is stimulating. It draws you in. I would stand at the sanctuary last Sunday. I was after service, and I could see people just walking up to the altar, and we didn't even have the fire yet, so I can only imagine what it looks like today. They wanted to come see. And this morning, as I came into here, into Mosaic, some of the people who had walked in before service, they walked up and they wanted to see this piece. Fire, it's beautiful. It just draws you in. And research has shown that watching fire for just a couple of minutes has this multi-sensory calming effect that can even lower your blood pressure. And so I was thinking about this story, and I love fire too. I'm pretty in awe of it too. And so yesterday I set out on a mission. I was going to go find something at the Ace Hardware, and I Googled hand torches. And actually, as I was walking into the store, I ran into a man that's in sanctuary service right now from church, and he was like, "Oh, hello, Cheryl." And I was like, "Oh no." And he said, well, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just shopping." I didn't want to say I'm looking for a torch for my sermon tomorrow because that would be weird. And so I found it. It was right at the counter. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a torch. I guess that you can do creme brulee with, but I like it just for the sermon, right? I don't know how to make creme brulee, so I would rather just stand here. And I didn't even tell my husband I was going for a hospital visit is what I was doing, and I didn't tell him I was making this pit stop. And when I came home, he's like, what's up with the torch? I'm like, well, they're just cool, and I have to have it for my sermon. And so one more time for you all. It's really cool, and so I'm proud of that if you ever want to see it. I highly recommend it. I don't know. Off the rails. That's what happened in children's time. They just go off the rails. So anyways, fire has this power. And this bush, this burning bush, it's just spectacular, right? It was burning, but the key part is it wasn't being burnt up. And then something interesting. There's a messenger from God in the midst of the flames. And I was thinking, I wonder why did God have to send a messenger first? That's interesting for me. There's a messenger for God in the middle of the flames. But then, here comes God stepping in. God sees that Moses has turned aside to pay attention, and that's when we hear God speak. God waited for Moses to be ready to listen before he says anything. So I wondered, how many times had God tried to get Moses' attention and Moses wasn't ready? I mean, Moses has been doing this sheep thing for nearly 40 years, walking around out there. Is it possible that God was dropping hints here and there, and Moses wasn't listening? And so God said, you know what? I'm going to have to do something even bigger. I'm going to have to get me some fire because maybe he'll turn around and listen this time and hear what I'm trying to say, right? So I was thinking about my own journey, because that's what you do when you're doing these sermons, right? That's why we preach them, because we can learn something for ourselves. And I think maybe I have also experienced this, where I've just been too busy, and God might have been trying to speak to me, and I wasn't ready to listen. And back in 2016, I was teaching. I was a fourth grade teacher forever. I loved teaching school. I never wanted to do anything else. Education was my dream. That's what I went to school for. I was really good math teacher. I loved it. And I was also that full-time volunteer at my church. Boy, my husband and I, they knew the Galler knows, they could call on us, and I would teach any Sunday school lesson, and I loved it. And it just so happened that the children's pastor at the time had resigned. She was moving to another church. And so the leadership team just said, hey, Cheryl, we have this great idea. What if you helped us out in the meantime while we search for the right person? And I said, oh, I can do that. This was the end of my school year, so I thought, okay, over the summer, they'll find who they're looking for, and then I'll just be back to full-time teaching in the fall. Well, the search wasn't going as I figured it should, and I didn't understand why they were taking so much time, but it was great, and I loved it. And so I said, well, I'll just stay on for the school year part-time, working in ministry and doing my teaching, because that's what I was called to do, I thought. And I had a mentor. Her name was Stephanie, and I would meet with her every Monday after school. She would stay late so I could come, and we could talk about the church and about my job at school. And every Monday I'd walk in and she'd say, now, Cheryl, has God spoken to you lately? And I'd say, no, no, this is great. And she kept asking, and every Monday I'd say, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing what I'm doing. Well, right at near the end of that school year, it was time for my summative, my annual appraisal from my principal, and he called me in, and we were talking, and he's like, you know, we love you, and you're doing a great job. He said, how's the job at the church going? And I told him, oh, it's good, it's great, this. And he said, I need you to know that every time I've asked you all year long how the job at the church is going, your face changes in a way. It lights up differently. And, you know, I go back to church, and I hear Stephanie say, has God spoken to you lately? I wasn't ready to listen up until that point, and God was calling me out of what I was used to and into something totally different, and I wasn't ready, but I was willing to take the step. So here God is in this burning bush, and God instructs Moses to remove his sandals, for the place that you are standing is holy ground. This ground has been common for Moses for all of this time. He's been doing what he does every single day, and then all of a sudden, the place that he knows so familiar becomes the extraordinary, right? He's standing there with his shoes off, and he's transformed, and his life is now forever changed. Moses was so afraid and so overwhelmed in that moment, I think, which is fascinating, he physically has to hide his face. Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. He's been hearing about the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac, and he's been hearing about this from Jethro, his father-in-law, and grew up. And now Moses is here face to face. It says in the Bible that Moses is the only person that's ever seen God face to face. And I find that fascinating as I study the story, because this is the face of God that we see in the story. And it's so miraculous and it's so awesome that even Moses has to hide his face because he doesn't feel as though he's ready. He feels inadequate, I think, right? And then, in my opinion, I think here comes the really prettiest part of the story. I think it's where we can all relate to Moses. He listens to God as God begins to say, I have seen the misery of my people, and I know their suffering. And I could only think, well, Moses is going, oh, okay, great. Okay, this is why I'm here. God's telling me that God knows what's happening with our people. Good, great, God, good. And then God continues on. I have come to deliver them from the Egyptians and bring them in a place flowing with milk and honey, God says, this promised land. It's going to be beautiful, he's telling Moses. I can only imagine going, well, finally, God gets it. He's going to do this. What's taking him so long, right? We've been waiting on God. And then the story shifts a little bit, and Moses hears it. And God says, now go. I am sending you. What wait, I can just picture him saying, wait, what's happening? That was not the plan. That was not what I was expecting from you. How can I do this, God? Who am I but just this ordinary guy, right? And God doesn't acknowledge that. God's only response is, I'll be with you, and you won't be alone. So for me, this story, it shows us that even in the middle of our everyday lives, that we can all be called to do extraordinary things. Moses didn't want to do this. He didn't have faith in his own abilities. He had been hiding out in Midian for over 40 years, trying to move on from what he ran away from in Egypt. And I kept reading on in the story. I wanted to read the before and the after as I was studying for today. And in chapter 4 of Exodus, the story continues. And Moses is still standing in the midst of the bush, trying to explain to God why Moses is not the right guy for the job. He says, God, I'm not an eloquent speaker. I really talk kind of slow. And again, God does what God does and just said, well, I'll be your mouth, and I'll teach you what to say. And Moses is still not buying it. He says, why, God, why are you choosing me? And then Moses says, please, God, just send somebody else. And this is a very frustrating part of the encounter for me. Moses is so humbled. He's there in this space where he's just been hearing about this God of awesomeness. He's scared. He's so not ready, he thinks. He really thinks that there must be someone way more equipped to do this job than him. And I really, the teacher in me, the mom in me, the nurturer in me really wants God to pause in this and comfort Moses and tell Moses why he can. This is what I want the subtitles of the story to say. I want God to say, Moses, you are the person because you have all of these qualities about you, these great, great attributes. But that doesn't happen. God just remains constant in this story and says, you will not be alone. So Moses says, okay, I guess that's what I'm going to do. And he prepares to go and do this really big thing. And so I was thinking there's times in each of our lives, right? Maybe not as extraordinary as this, but we are challenged and called to step up when we're so not ready, when we know we're not the right person and we know we're not ready. And just like Moses, we feel led to do something, and it's going to take a really long time, and we're just not ready, and we can't imagine what that looks like. And we are creatures of instant gratification. And so Moses, he doesn't see that it's going to be 40 years down the road, right? And us, we want things to happen. If we're going to do something, we want it to happen right now. We live in this world where things are moving so fast around us, and we can get something done at the stroke of a keystroke, right? Just tap it and something comes up. When we gave our boys their phones, we knew immediately they could find the answers to things. That was powerful for them. My youngest son is still in college, and I've been taking some classes, and he taught me how to use ChatGPT. It's a magical thing. And I can't imagine that I did school 30 years ago without ChatGPT. And so as I was working on this, not that I do that for my classes, but just in case one of my professors logs on. Anyways, I should have said that in the early service too. Anyways, when I was looking for images for the story, first of all, a lot of the images come up and they say you can't use this because of copyright, and I'm not good about getting around all that stuff. I don't know that. And so I was like, you know what? I can use ChatGPT. And so I went into ChatGPT and I was like, dear ChatGPT, would you please create an image for me of the burning bush? And I really want it to look realistic, but the branches have to look like that. And I was very sweet and having like this love letter with ChatGPT back and forth. And it would send me these notes like, okay, I've done this, but would you like for me to improve it by doing this? And I'd be like, yes, please, would you do that for me? That would be wonderful. And ChatGPT is the most amazing thing. And then I thought, well, interesting. It says, okay, I'm sorry. It's going to take me a few seconds to generate this image. And then I chuckled like, ha, in this world of instant gratification, even I had to wait on ChatGPT to create my fake image of the burning bush. And Moses' story, it just reminds us, and it reminds me, that our journey, it's going to be difficult, really difficult at times, and it's going to be long. And the outcome may not be what we set out to do. We may not even get to see the end result. There's a man named Jonathan Larson. He's a famous composer and a playwright. He worked to create the amazing musical Rent. Many of you, I bet, have seen it. While he was working on this story, y'all, he was not rich. He was not way wealthy. He was struggling. He was a struggling artist. He was working as a waiter, just trying to pay rent every month and to make the ends meet. And it took him about 7 years to work on this show, this play. And I'm sure that many of you know how this story goes. Very sadly, just hours before the premiere of the off-Broadway production, he suffered what is called an aortic dissection, and he died like instantaneously. And he never got to see his dream come to fruition. He'd worked on it for 7 years. He'd been dreaming about it even before that, and he never got to see it come out on stage. But what's so cool is that his legacy lives on through his musicals and through his movies, the movies that they've made out of the musicals. And his work inspired other artists. You may have heard of Lin-Manuel Miranda, right? Who did Hamilton, one of my favorites. And Miranda credits Larson for his popularity and for his skills and the things that he learns from him. And Miranda's huge success, he says, I give it back to him, and only because of him am I where I am. His legacy lived on. Moses was called by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt and into the promised land, right? That's the beauty of this story, especially as a children's minister. It's glamorous. We tell the kids about it, right? And when we say it like that, it just sounds like this really cool story that we're teaching to adults and to children. But really and truly, as I study and look into it more, it's a really hard story, and it's really much deeper than we look at most of the time. Moses and the Israelites, they wandered in this desert for another 40 years. They grumbled. They were tired. They were scared. They were thirsty, right? And even many of them lost so many loved ones along the way. It was awful. It was terrible. It was hard. And here is a huge spoiler alert for those of you who might want to read on in the story. One significant part of this story that we don't talk about much is that Moses doesn't even make it into the promised land, y'all. In Deuteronomy chapter 32, God takes Moses to the top of the mountain just outside the promised land. And God says to Moses, although you may view the land from a distance, you shall not enter it, this land that I am giving to the Israelites. For me, that's just awful. So hard. He wasn't ready to go. He didn't want to do this. He told God no, and then he says, okay, I'll do what you said. I'll take these people and I'll lead them into this promised land. And here we are. He can almost touch it. And God says, not for you. You're not going to go. I was studying this lesson. I'm in an Old Testament class, and we were studying this lesson together, all the students, and she posed a question that we had to answer on Canvas about whether this was how we felt about Moses not getting into the promised land. And a lot of us said, well, it's horrible. It's not fair. Why would God do that to Moses? Why would God pick Moses and say, you're going to be there. I'm going to go. It's going to be great. And then, sorry, and pull it away at the last second. And a lot of us argued that point, rightfully so. And our professor comes back and says, but wait, maybe you're missing the blessing. Maybe God knew what Moses had already been through, what Moses had already done. And there was so much more, and it was going to get so much harder. And maybe God said, this is where your story ends and someone else's begins. Moses didn't see that part coming. And some of us may feel like we're living in the wilderness right now, right? Something's not going your way. Maybe you're confused. Things are uncertain. Something that you've been hoping for is taking much longer than you've ever imagined. It's hard. You're not even possibly going to make it to the very end to see it. Maybe this is what God is trying to tell us, if only we'll turn around and listen, right? What we do in the middle of it all, it truly matters. We aren't at the beginning of our story. We can't see the end, but we can be assured that God's promise is true and that we're not alone. And as I was working on this message, I was thinking about one of the greatest joys of my job is doing funerals, walking with families at a time of death. I love them. I think they are the most magical, most holy, sacred moments with families. And I don't want to do a funeral if I don't get to know the person. And unfortunately, a lot of the services I do are for people that I may not have ever met. And so I want to sit down with this family and talk to them and hear about their loved one and take notes about famous memories and things that this person did. And then we can honor their life the right way. And y'all, it's magical. These people have lived this legacy, this life, these awesome things that their family is telling them about, and they might not have even known the impact that they had on the people that they're leaving behind. They didn't get to see the end of their story, but it's what they did in the middle of their life that matters so much. I don't know if all of you know this, and I'm kind of sad if you don't, so I'm going to tell you right now. I am a huge Survivor fan. Huge. It's a TV show, reality. I know this has nothing to do with Moses, but I need you to know it sort of does. I love the TV show. My husband and I have never, ever missed an episode, and for years I said, I'm going to try out to be on Survivor. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try out. Well, about three and a half years ago, I did. I came home one night from work, and it wasn't a great day, and I was like, film the video now, let's do it today. And he filmed the video, and I got picked. The casting agent called, and we thought they were pranking us. I thought it was one of our boys doing a prank on me, because they know I loved it. And anyways, I love Survivor, and actually, I didn't get, don't go Google my season, because I got to the very end and I didn't make it on, so you can't find me, but I'll tell you what, my name is still out there. It's okay. But I was thinking, as the altar stuff was happening at the beginning of Lent, several weeks ago when we were up in the sanctuary, and the torches were lit, and the stuff was there, and my husband and I kind of looked at each other, and I was like doing the song, and in the early service, Jerry asked me to do it, so wo-way-oh-way-oh-way-oh-way-ah is the song that comes on when you walk into tribal council, and that's what we saw when we saw the stage, and it's just beautiful, and I think maybe Kate's just doing it for me because she knows how much I love it. Side note, let's go on. Jeff Probst is the host of this show, and he has this tagline that he says to every tribe mate as they enter into tribal council for the very first time. He says, grab a torch, dip it in, and get fire, because fire represents your life. When your fire's gone, so are you. You see, the burning bush, it was burning, but it wasn't being consumed by the flames. And God's promise is to be with us, and it will never end, this promise from God, right? And we see this fire in the bush, and it's transformative. It's never going to burn up or burn out. Maybe that's what we see. Fire represents your life. God is going to live on forever and see us through, even if we come to the beginning and to the end of our road, right? The presence of God can meet us in the most unexpected places, where we're lost, where we're doubting, where we feel extremely ordinary, where we just don't want to do it, where we're scared. And I do believe that God is at work in the middle of these journeys. It's what we do in the middle of our story that really matters and what we leave behind. And so I wonder, how many times have you been around and maybe something's trying to get your attention and you just haven't turned aside enough to see that it's calling at you directly? Maybe you need to stop and listen like I did at the beginning of the song and hear something new. Amen. Thank you.
Many of y'all may know me well enough to know this story, but I'm going to tell you again. Much like Cheryl, I was very resistant to the call to ministry. When this job opened, I was asked to audition, and I said, no, thank you. Because I did not want to do church work. I had been through too much and just didn't believe that the church could be good. I really didn't think that it was possible. But I said I would come to auditions, and I would offer feedback, and I would be a friend. I would support. I knew that they wanted to start open, and I thought that was very cool, but I wasn't not willing to do it myself. And then the more that I learned about it, and the more that I got to know the people who were on the interviewing committee and started to see that this church was really meaning what it was saying, I got curious, and someone asked me, what is keeping you from doing this job? And I had 100 million reasons, just like Moses did, just like I'm sure Cheryl did. I don't play an instrument. I have never done that before. I don't know. Like, I just had a lot of things that I felt like it was not possible for me to do it. But they wanted me to do it anyway. So I auditioned, and I remember that being one of the holiest experiences of my life, like getting to audition for this job. And I'm so thankful for the work that we've done in the last 9 years. It's been 9 today, actually. Yeah. I'm really proud of this community and the work that we've done together. And, you know, not all of life doesn't have those like parting the cloud moments where you realize this is what I'm supposed to be doing. That's happened once for me. And it hasn't happened again. And I don't know that it ever will. But something that I've learned is that in the seasons of waiting, God is with us through those seasons too. And when I look back on the seasons that it felt like God was very quiet, God was there, even when it wasn't, I didn't realize it at the time. And we're called to, you know, co-create heaven on earth. It's something that I think that people have been trying to do always, to make the world good, to make life together good for all people. And we have yet to see that happen. But that doesn't mean that God is not with us in the waiting. And we are still called to create that. And maybe we will never see that. It's possible that we will not be here when the day comes that this is a good place for all people. But we should definitely keep trying, right? It's our call. And so we're going to sing a song together now called Take Courage. And in this song, it just acknowledges that God is in the waiting, and it's this invitation to find your courage in those seasons. And I invite you all to sing along with us or to just sit back and listen. But before we sing, I want to invite us to pray the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I want to thank you all for being here today and remind you that if you'd like to give to our offering, you can always go online at fumcdenton.com/give, and you can give there on the drop-down menus. Also, please don't forget that we really enjoy hearing from you, especially if there's a care need. The fumcdenton.com/care is very important to us. You can fill out hospitalization forms, you can fill out prayer requests, things like that. Please make sure you reach out to us and we will contact you. We enjoy praying for each other and for our community. And if you're looking for a place to plug in, I'm so glad you're here. We have so many opportunities on Sunday mornings, not on Sunday mornings, at night, Monday nights, things like that. fumcdenton.com/groups will tell you all about that as well. And now I'm very excited. I know you are too. It's 2 weeks from today. Our Easter extravaganza is coming up, y'all, and you've been waiting, right? You've been waiting for the total, I'm certain. And so our goal, don't forget, our egg goal is 4,800 stuffed filled eggs. And as of last Thursday when I left, we were at 1,847. But I want to show you something really cool. Look at what I got just as I was walking in church this morning. I mean, this has got to take us well over 2,000 right here, right? I mean, for sure. Dave chuckles. Baby, I stretch. But anyways, stuffed eggs, candy, things, all kinds of stuff. Plus, don't forget to go online at our Sign Up Genius and sign up to help and volunteer. And just invite everyone and come out and be with us 2 weeks from tonight. Thank you. Oh, and now, would you stand? I almost did it again. Would you stand and sing for our closing song today?
You fed the hungriest among us. You turned the water into wine. You flipped the tables in the temple so that all could get inside. You helped us find the light within us. You found a way to calm the seas. And you sought the ones who were called over. And you brought good news to me. And I'm so thankful for a love that does not change. I will cherish the gift of your grace, and I will see always of your way, of You carried hope to the hopeless. You healed in unexpected ways. You broke down dividing lines. In you I found endless grace. You taught us how to love each other. And you showed us all how to be kind. You brought us all in this together. Not even one is left behind. And I'm so thankful
talent, and so I'm grateful to be a part of this this morning. And so thank you for letting me be with you. And now, as you leave this place today, I ask you, maybe think about, are you just not turning the right way? Are you ignoring something that's been trying to get your attention? And maybe if you don't say no, say, who's going to go with me instead? And ask someone else, has God spoken to you lately? Maybe so. You might be the one talking to them. Y'all, go have a great day. Go with God. Amen.